Welcome to the Vibrant Life podcast. This is the official podcast of the Vibrant Life community. And I'm Sarah Nolan, a burnout prevention and energy management consultant. And I'm here again with John Rowley. Thank you so much for being here again with us.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And John is America's lifestyle strategist, best-selling author with multiple books, TV personality and serial entrepreneur. And what I know John most for, and maybe what a lot of you know John most for, is his fitness philosophy, his fitness mindset stuff. And he's got some incredible books about that topic. So can I just thought it would be a great time. Now we're heading up on January of 2020 when everybody's trying to get in shape and usually going about it in the wrong ways that tend to lead to possibly worse, worse fitness and worse habits down the road because of all the bad advice that's out there. So I'm really excited with what John's doing with the mindset behind all the fitness stuff. So I'm going to let you take it away, John, with this topic. And first, can you share with us like how you got into this in the first place?
Well, I was an athlete as a young guy. And then as we talked in the last interview, I had a near fatal car accident. So I don't want to rehash that, but I was 19 years old and had a very, very bad car accident that took over 10 years to recover from. So I was an athlete, but then I needed to take the skills that I learned as an athlete and use them to rebuild my body because back then there was no rehab. So I ended up joining a gym. It was the gym where the movie Pumping Iron was filmed in, and I ended up owning that eventually. So I kind of used bodybuilding as I did use bodybuilding as a way of restoring my own body. But with this time of year, so many people that sit down, like I personally take between Christmas and New Year's and I work on all my goals for the upcoming year.
Right.
And this is a good time of year where people do that. They sit down and they write their goals out and they prepare themselves for the upcoming year. But I think one of the things that people miss is the number one tool in their arsenal, which is being physically fit. When I did my first book, it was called Climb Your Ladder of Success Without Running Out of Gas. I was speaking to Zig Ziglar. And the publisher wanted to make it 2 books. They wanted to make it an inspirational or a motivational book, like a Zig Ziglar book. And then they wanted to take the other part of it and turn it into a fitness book. So as I was talking to Mr. Ziglar, he goes, no, he goes, stand your ground, which I was going to do anyway. He goes, stand your ground. He goes, my shtick is I focus on goals. Tony Robbins focuses on this. This one focuses on that. He goes, your focus is being physically fit as a tool for success. Instead of focusing on just goals, which is what Mr. Ziglar did a lot, I focus on goals, yes, but I also focus on you because the most important part of a success scenario is you. So you can write down all these great goals, you can have all these plans, but if you don't have the energy to climb the ladder of success, you're gonna fail.
Now,
so you need to have the energy to succeed.
I talk with a lot of people, maybe you have too, who don't necessarily believe that they need to be physically fit. They're like, I'm happy with the way I look. I'm not trying to run a marathon. And, I feel okay. Like, how do you feel like those people who are thinking those things can be helped by increasing their fitness?
Well, for me personally, in the business world, I like that people think like that because the tool in my arsenal is I've got more energy than anybody I know that's my age. And when I was coming up as a real estate executive in Manhattan real estate, honestly, one of the reasons I was successful is because I could outwork everybody. I wasn't smarter than everybody. But to answer your question, yeah, okay, if you're feeling good, wouldn't you rather feel great? Because if you're feeling good now, good is going to get to lousy over the next few years. So if you don't do something about it now, in the next couple of years, you will not be feeling good. You'll be feeling awful, or you may be sick. And then the second part of that is if like, a lot of people, they talk about, well, I don't have time to work out because I got to be at work. Well, I get more done in an hour than most people get done all day.
Right.
And it's because I'm focused and I'm fit because the same blood that runs through your body runs through your brain. So if you don't have healthy oxygenated blood running through your body, it's not going to run through your brain, and your brain isn't going to function as well as it did. When I was in Manhattan real estate, I competed against guys who went to Harvard, Wharton, or Yale, and I didn't have a college degree. Yet, I was more successful than them. So obviously their degree was not a determining factor in what they did. What they did was a determining factor in their level of success, though. And they couldn't do what they needed to do because they were not fit, which is why I wrote that first book. Because most people do run out of gas while climbing their own ladder of success. And so I think it's an important part of the success scenario, you know.
You know, I love what you just said about that, because I feel like so many people focus on the aesthetic aspect of being fit, and I've never heard anybody talk about it in the way that you just did. And I feel like that really is what it comes down to.
And that's kind of my niche. That's why the media calls me America's lifestyle strategist, because my thing is all about lifestyle. But the thing is, yes, do we want to look good? Yes, we want to look good. You know, I look in the mirror every day. I'm like, I could lose a little weight here. I could put a little muscle on there. You know, everybody wants to look good, but that's just a byproduct of taking care of yourself. Now, the flip side of that is I do have my roots in the bodybuilding community, and I'm actually the state chairman for the International Federation of Bodybuilders Association of America for North and South Carolina. Now, I know a ton of bodybuilders. They look phenomenal. They grace the covers of magazines, yet they can't function in real life. They can't manage their money. They don't have the energy because they're not doing it in a healthy way. So there's a way, and there's also these people that go on keto and stick on keto forever. And I'm not downplaying keto. My personal opinion is I think that's really good for a short term, but long term it's not practical. And I also don't think it's healthy because you're missing some macronutrients. But that aside, there are so many ways to stay out of balance while you're trying to be fit, whereas being fit should be bringing you into balance, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. So what is your suggestion for people who want to strive for that balance, and you know, they want to be able to have it all, like be not just aesthetically fit, you know, but everything?
Well, find an exercise routine that works for you. Me personally, I'm a big believer in lifting weights because it's good for your bones, it's good for your muscles, it's good for your cardiovascular system, basically good for everything. And if you do bodybuilding type workouts, that will have you look good. But I know plenty of people that stay in shape just swimming, or they do yoga and swim, or yoga and do cardiovascular, and they're pretty healthy. Now, people who do that type of stuff typically don't look as good, though. They look a little drained, washed out, you know. And honestly, people who are not watching what they eat as well and are just doing yoga or some boot camp classes, they look like they're skinny and fat at the same time. So they make, or you know, people who are vegan, and I'm not criticizing anybody, and I'm not putting anything down, and I don't know everything, but when I see people who are vegans, they're either very skinny, but they typically don't have a whole lot of muscle tone. And let's face it, what gives your body shape is your muscle. You know, bones and ligaments do not give your body any shape. So if you're not building some muscle and you lose weight, basically you have no shape to your body. And I don't know if you know, a lot of people, they look like stick figures. I don't know if you've noticed that, but to me, the most important thing is resistance training along with a good, healthy diet. I have changed things around this year because of my situation. I had open heart surgery this year. I'm looking at all the alternatives and the healthiest ways to eat and things like that. So I have changed my workouts a bit. I used to work each body part once a week, hit a body part every day. Now I'm going very old school, and I'm breaking my body up 3 ways, and I'm working out 5 days a week. So I just kind of constantly go through that rotation. I lift a lot lighter than I used to. I do a lot of supersets, a lot of giant sets, and just basically take very little rest between my sets, but my body's responding really well to it. And it wasn't responding well to hitting each body part once a week now. So, but then I'm also doing cardiovascular. I do about 45 minutes of my elliptical here at home. And then my fiance, Katie, and I also swim every morning. So we'll do our weightlifting, and then we do abs. And then she makes me stretch out. She's a former gymnast, so she makes me stretch, which I haven't done in 40 years. And then after we stretch out, then we go into the pool and we swim for a while. So that's kind of my routine now, and it has evolved over the years.
You know, that's so interesting. You're talking about how you changed your routine based on your specific situation. Your situation changed, so you changed your routine. And I feel like there's so many one size fit all routines out there where these gurus come in and they say, this is the way to do it. Everything else is garbage. So how is somebody supposed to find the workout that works best for them?
Let me back up just a little bit. I'm with you. The gurus are so irresponsible, saying you got to do, you got to do CrossFit, or if you're doing weightlifting workouts where you only need to work out 3 days a week, do cardio, but don't do cardio. It's confusing. It is
so confusing. And a confused mind says no, which I think is why so many people just are like, enough.
Exactly right. So what happens is they lose hope.
Right.
And once you lose hope, you're not going to do it. So I think I said in the last podcast, I feel like my job is part of, kind of to deliver hope to people as well. Every book I write, at the end of the book, I'll typically put in there workouts to meet all schedules and goals. So like my old school new body workout, the foundational workout was 3 days a week, 3 workouts a week for 90 minutes. And you can get great results with that. But so what you need to do is you need to find something that works for you. There's so many resources out there now. You could buy one of my books. You could go to various websites of people that you respect. Now, the thing that I caution you on is most of the people who write these books, I shouldn't say most, a large percentage of the people who write these books, of the gurus out there, don't even do what they say they do. So they tell you to work out one way, yet a lot of them don't even work out, quite honestly. And if they do work out, they don't work out the way they said. And a lot of them are using their high school pictures. You see them in person, like, this fat bastard is the guru from that thing. Come on, give me a break. Like me, I'm 59 years old. I'll be 60 in a few months. I don't photo shoot my things. I don't diet down for pictures. I look the way I look. If somebody sees me in the airport, they're going to say, hey, he looks just like he does in his books, because I don't play games. But I stay in pretty good shape year round. So I don't have to play games. So I caution you against the gurus. Anybody who's a self-professed guru, be cool. So I don't call myself a guru. Yeah. I'm kind of experimenting still at my age, I know the basics. I know a lot, but I still try new things. I just got finished reading one of Jack LaLanne's book. He lived to be 96 years old. I wanted to see the way he ate and the way he worked out. Even though I knew him and I knew how he ate and worked out, I wanted a refresher. So I read a couple of his books. So that's what I suggest you do. Anybody who's listening, find what works for you. I would tell you, at a minimum, if you're going to lift weights, 3 days a week is good. Do chest, back, and shoulders on Monday, do legs on Wednesday, do back and biceps on Friday. You can be in and out of the gym in 30 minutes and see if that meets your goals. Now, what I did after my surgery is I went back to a very, very basic workout, because I had to make believe I had never worked out before, because I could barely even walk. So I started off with 1 full body workout a week once I went back. Then I worked up to 2 full body workouts a week. Then I worked up to 3 full body workouts a week. And once I was able to do that in the gym without passing out, I switched to 1 body part a day. And I've done that for 20 years, and I've always gotten very good results with it. But I wasn't getting the results now from it, probably because my intensity is off, and I can't lift as heavy, nor do I want to lift as heavy as I did, because I don't want to damage my heart. So I'm lifting a lot lighter. But what I'm doing now is I'm taking 20 to 30 second rests. Basically, I rest while Katie's lifting her set, and then we just go back and forth. I do a lot of, like I said before, a lot of supersets and giant sets, which pre-exhaust my muscle. So I'm actually getting much, much better results doing each body part twice a week than I was getting with hitting each body part once a week before, because I'm going lighter. So, and I know I'm rambling, but my point is not one size fits all workout.
Right.
Now you can follow models. The model I'm following is I forget the old bodybuilding, who's the movie Pumping Iron. So basically, Roger Callard. Roger Callard gave me this workout split, but it's basically the way Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno and Serge Nubret and all the old great bodybuilders in the 60s and 70s lifted before drugs were too prevalent. And so I've kind of went back to that, and I'm getting very, very good results. But I'm also adding swimming, because I've got blood clots in my lungs and I had surgery. So I need to increase my cardiovascular fitness. So I've also thrown swimming in, because that's all about breathing. So if you don't breathe, you drown. So it's forcing me to breathe better. So that's kind of how I've done it. But as far as anybody listening, you can get my books. You can find somebody else that you respect and get their books. But find a routine that works for you. And then the whole key is being disciplined and sticking to it.
Yeah. And so that brings me to, I just have a couple questions and then we'll kind of wrap this up because you've just given so much great information already. One is, I see all the time people going way overboard, they hurt themselves, and then they have to stop. And then it's like, they can never stay consistent. So what do you say to things like that?
Leave your ego at, if you're lifting weight, depending on the workout you're doing, leave your ego at the door.
Mm-hmm.
I get in the gym now, even after surgery, and I see young guys next to me and they're lifting heavy weights. And then all of a sudden I start lifting heavy weights just to show them the old me. And I can lift heavier than them, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But then I rationalize to myself, if you get hurt, you're not going to be able to get back here. The whole key. And that's why I like bodybuilding workouts. Bodybuilding workouts are not powerlifting workouts. And a lot of people confuse those. Powerlifting is you try to lift the most you can with lousy form, with decent form. CrossFit is you do the most you can with the most horrible form you could possibly find. And then bodybuilding is very good form, basically utilizing the muscle way it was designed. So your bicep is designed to basically move your arm like this. You add weight to it. And that's all it is. And you keep your reps. I keep my reps between 12 and 15. Sometimes I go as high as 20 in my earlier sets. I never go below 10. And I do nice and controlled. I lift the weight, but then I lower it to a count of about 3. I keep a constant tension on the muscle. So that's how you don't get hurt. If you don't warm up and you do ballistic movements and you're not cautious and you're not, moving. I see odd exercise. People standing on Bosu balls doing bicep curl. Why? Unless you play hockey or you're some kind of athlete or extreme athlete that needs to have balance issues or whatever. It makes no sense to me. So my suggestion is just watch what everybody else in the gym is doing and just do the opposite and you'll get in phenomenal shape.
Great advice. I love that. Is leave the ego at the door. Such good advice.
Yeah, that's critical.
And then the last thing is, people get, into a rhythm with working out, whether it's at home or at the gym, and then life happens and then they stop the routine and then it can take months or sometimes never to get back into it. So do you have a suggestion for people who want to create this as like a daily, weekly habit?
Yeah, it's easy first of all, it requires some personal responsibility, which is lacking in today's society. Right. Secondly, it requires some discipline, which is also sorely lacking in our society today. And you need to be consistent. So in order to be consistent, what do you do? Me personally, like if I had to work out after work in the evenings, I would never do it. It would not happen. For me, I do it first thing in the morning. Most of the people that I know that are successful entrepreneurs and also very fit do it first thing in the morning. Look up Richard Branson. He's got his morning routine there. Even Mark Wahlberg, recently came out with his routine about how he gets up at 3:30 in the morning and the first priority is hitting the gym. For me, the only way I can fit it in my life is to make it a priority, and it's the first thing I do in the day. Now, I have gone through seasons in my life where I would get up and, because I own my own business, I could do what I want, where I would get up, do my cardio, then sit down and write. I'm an author. I'd sit down and write for 3 or 4 hours and then go hit the gym. But quite honestly, even when I do that, I end up at one point in time becoming inconsistent, so I have to go back to my morning routine. So when I was in Manhattan real estate, and I mentioned that a lot, but it's really the last time I've worked for anybody. That was 30 years. No, that was 25 years ago. I haven't worked for anybody in 25 years. But when I was working for somebody, I went to the gym first thing in the morning. Even if I had it through at 3 o'clock in the morning, I belonged to a bunch of gyms. A couple of them were 24 hours. And, one of them was in a warehouse in the worst part of New York. It was horrible. Hookers in the corner and drug dealers in the corner. And there I am getting out, go work out. And but I came from that area, so I wasn't afraid. Right. But I would go in there and get my workout at 3 o'clock in the morning because I knew once I got to the office, the day got away from me.
Yeah.
And that's what would happen. So, just it's a routine. Find a routine that works for you. Craig Ballantyne wrote a really good book. I think it's called I forget the name of his book. The Perfect Day Formula.
Perfect Day Formula.
Perfect Day Formula. Now you can get his book, but the bottom line is design the perfect day for you. And I do this all the time. I sit down, what's the perfect day for me? A couple of times a year, because I'm ADD and I want to switch things up. I'll start going through, a different way of doing it. And then what happens is by the end of the day, my perfect routine is back to the perfect routine I've been doing for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So So what works for me is first thing in the morning. A lot of people will say, well, I'm not a morning person. I can't. Well, that's fine. Be fat and unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's your choice. But if you want to do something about it, get up in the morning and do it. Unless you can do it at night, unless you can do it at lunchtime. But you need to find a time where you can do it consistently. And in my opinion, most people, they can be consistent if they're very busy, if they get up a couple hours early in the morning and do it.
Oh,
My
yeah.
first 3 hours of my day are me.
Love
I
that.
get up, I have coffee. I haven't been doing this lately because I'm in transition, I'm moving and all. But I typically get up, I read my Bible, I do some prayer, have some coffee, and it kind of allows me to wake up a little bit. And then I'm off to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come back and get to work. And it's a routine that works for me. And listen, I've got the freedom to work out whenever I want. I can do whatever I want. But I know if I don't do it first thing in the morning, it's just not going to happen.
Exactly. And I think that applies to so many things that, people would like to make a priority. It's like, just get it done first thing, make yourself a priority. And to me, what that's really talking about is boundaries. And,
Yes.
Having the self-respect to say no to the things that get in the way of your thriving activities.
Well, and I want to say one more thing. There are circumstances in where you can't do it first thing in the morning.
Right.
When I was younger, we had 4 kids. So my ex-wife and I, she couldn't just go to the gym because we had kids.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to leave a 2-year-old home by itself, even if it's sleeping. We're not going to leave it alone. So what we did early on in our marriage is I would go to the gym Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. She would go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So we would do it that way. I'd be home with the kids. And, we lived in New York. And when she went to the gym, I knew 2 guys that were there. And they would always wait for her and walk into the gym with her. So I knew she was safe going to the gym as well. I didn't just just go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. She had two buddies of mine there. And then we owned our own gym. If she went in early in the morning, the members were always there to make sure that she was safe. But if you've got kids, obviously you got to work around that. If I go to the gym at 10 or 11 o'clock, and I belong to a very large gym, and I was one of the big Lifetime Fitnesses gyms, they're packed with single moms. Well, not single moms, but stay-at-home moms.
Right.
A lot of them are single, unfortunately, but they're stay-at-home moms, and so they get there when they can do. So you need to, you need to figure out when you can do it, but then be consistent. It's all about habit. I don't know about you, but I find that most successful things that I do in my life are successful habits.
Yes, absolutely. And anchoring the habits, just what I found in my life is anchoring it to something that I'm already doing. Like I'm already eating breakfast every day. So anchor something to that breakfast routine that's already in place.
Can I bring up one more thing before we get off?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're talking about health and fitness. I think one of the most overlooked aspects of being healthy and fit is your mental and spiritual fitness.
Yes.
And I'm actually writing a book on this right now. It's called Building the Body of Christ. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time I've even talked about it. Nobody even knows I'm doing it. But I'm doing this because so many people are suffering from depression and anxiety and just different things that really affect their health. So if you're not, and this, I'll tell you the foundational roots of this. Back in 1999, I went on a missions trip with my church to China. I was with probably 20 or 30 people that I looked up to as my spiritual mentors. That ended within 36 hours or 48 hours of us being there. Because once we were there, 2 or 3 days into the trip, everybody started getting physically tired. And I got to tell you something. Once they got physically tired, they're nice, soft-spoken selves. They're not North Carolina. Bless you, brother. Went out the window, man. They were biting each other's backs and getting on each other's cases, and it wasn't pretty to see. So right back then, it was right shortly after that is when I wrote Climb Your Ladder of Success. But the reason being is I realized, okay, these people, they're spiritually fit until their body gets tired. Then it goes out the window. And we're one unit. Our mind, our spirit, and our bodies work in unison. But we have a tendency to work on them separately. We go to church on Sunday or whatever we do spiritually. We read our Bible or whatever we're going to do. I'm not trying to, I'm not proselytizing. I'm just letting, I'm speaking from my faith base. That's all. And then we work on our mental fitness, whether we're reading or, whatever we're doing, setting goals mentally and doing all these different things. And then we go to the gym. But they're all tied together.
Right.
So if you're not physically fit, it's going to affect your mind and your body. And every book that I do is written in this way. If I do that kind of a book, body, mind, spirit, because I think it's in that order. Even the Bible says, God created us body, mind, spirit. And I think he set it that direction because if your body is exhausted, your mind and spirit will follow.
Right.
If your mind is exhausted, your spirit will follow, and typically your body will follow. And if your spirit is exhausted, yes, you can function physically and mentally, but you will have a breakdown at one point in time, and you won't know what it is. So if you focus on your body, mind, and spirit from whatever direction you want to do it, you're going to be healthier, but you're also going to be happier, more fulfilled, and more whole, which will then continue to make you happy, healthy, and keep going like that. So I think that's one of the missing ingredients to our fitness scenario, which is kind of looking at ourselves as a whole. You wouldn't just change the oil in your car and expect it to function well. You do need to change the tires once in a while. There's other things that you need to do instead of just putting gas or changing the oil in your car. And as human beings, we're the same way. That there's three parts to us, and I think we need to focus on those three parts. And I know you're a big believer in that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for tying that in. I feel like so often, when people get really into the spirituality, they kind of forget, we tend to get two of them right. And then there's usually one that's lacking. And then that sometimes is the missing piece of the puzzle if you're struggling to reach your goals or just struggling with anything in your life, finding that last missing piece and putting that together can just make all the difference.
Well, early on in my faith, I became a Christian when I was 35 years old. So when I was about 36 or 37 years old, I knew this guy, and I don't want to say his name, but he owned a small company, and he was struggling in business. So I was struggling at the time as well, quite honestly, and not as bad as he was. And I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "John, I'm praying all day long. I don't know why God's not blessing me." I said, "Are you kidding me? Are you working?" "No, I'm just praying because I need God to open a door." I said, "God cannot bless your steps if you're not walking. Walk, do something." And I think a lot of people miss that aspect as well, especially in the world that I'm around here in the South. And I'm not being, I sound like I'm being critical. I guess I am being critical, but it's a fact. Right, at least from what I see, people get out of balance so easily. They're expecting, they focus on this, but yet they're not doing these necessary things in order to be successful. So anyway, that's the end of my argument.
Yes. And what I see on it from an energetic standpoint is when you address the body in any way, that grounds, that anchors whatever's going on mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, it anchors it into the reality.
I agree.
And so if you're, doing everything, like you're working on law of attraction and manifestation, and you're praying and you're working on your mindset, but then you keep doing the same things that you've been doing.
Exactly. Nothing changes.
It's all just like in a cloud, up in the air until you start, like you said, moving your feet. And I think, even working out and stuff like that, that also is part of it. Bring more physical energy into the situation.
I agree. And you mentioned the law of attraction. That's biblical as well, by the way. But we saw that movie. What was that movie?
The Secret.
The Secret.
Yeah.
I know some of the guys that were in that movie. They worked their asses off. They are hardworking guys, men and women. They didn't just sit there and look at the ceiling and visualize $1 million. They got up at 4 a.m, worked their asses off for 12 to 18 hours. But that was taken out of the movie. And I know the movie was edited in such a way where they did express that, but it was edited out. And again, I'm not being critical of the movie. I'm trying to be factual.
Realistic.
Yes. Be realistic. Yes, you can attract things to you, but you need to do something.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you, Sarah.
And you guys, some comment with one of your takeaways and really, take to heart some of the things that we shared here today, because I feel like a lot of it is missed in the dialogue that's happening around health and fitness. So thank you so much for joining us, watching and listening. We really honor and respect your time and your energy. And thank you so much, John, for being here again with us today.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon.